You must be persistent, dedicated, and have an extreme drive.
What did you tasting? One person is no shellfish, eggs, or nuts.
I decided to go to the French Laundry, eat dinner, and turn in my resume afterwards.
2 bass. One is no shellfish.
Nothing happened. I called and 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 he wouldn't answer, and it would be somebody else, and it was Thomas Keller and Chef Keller, and they would say, no, he's not. So I said thank you, and I called back later whenever I could, really reach him. Eventually, he granted me the opportunity to actually stage and try out for a position. So I did that. I worked at stage for one day, tried out making crepes in the kitchen, picking herbs in the garden, different kind of things, helping the kitchen, and basically Eric and him talked, and Eric was a chef de cuisine at the time, and I was fortunate enough to get the job. I started as a commis. I worked as a commis for about 7 months. Moved up to the cheese station, worked there for about 6 months. Moved to Garde Manger, worked there for a couple of years. Worked meat station, worked SAS, which was a sous chef station, and then was promoted to a sous chef when Corey Lee came and was a chef de cuisine. I feel strongly, commis should start out doing prep work and really get proficient with their knife, proficient with the different skills, and acquainted with the restaurant before they can move up. Everybody here, they come and they start, if at all possible, as a commis position. That's how I grew up in the kitchen, and that's how I really believe that's what made me who I am today. And I think that's important for other people to do the same thing. It's very important for us that everybody understands the language, the culture. We focus on training the different stagiaires, externs, commis as they start on, and then evolving into chef de parties. A true chef de partie is a chef of a station. I mean, exactly what it translates to. They're the chef of the station. So that's exactly the way I treat the chef de parties here. If they did not order the salmon that they need for the cornets tomorrow, they will hear about it. If they do not order their produce, if they do not clean their station properly, run their station properly, as a chef, that's their restaurant. They're the chef of that station, and they need to be mature enough to be that way. Otherwise, how are they going to be a chef of a restaurant one day? I really take on Thomas's philosophy, which was when I was a chef de partie, we would sit down and we would write the menu with the chef, and he would be there, and he would ask me the question, if I was working Garde Manger, what do you want to run tomorrow for a salad? Okay, well, chef, we have a beautiful asparagus in the house. I'd like to do an asparagus salad. Okay, well, what would you like to do that with? Well, I was thinking maybe asparagus. It's white asparagus with rhubarb, black truffle, mâche, and almond. And he says, okay, well, how do you want to do the rhubarb? How do you want to do the asparagus? How do you want to do the truffle? How's the mâche? And it's starting to pinpoint, and basically he's training me, and now I'm training the other chef de parties how to be a chef, how to really think about a menu, how to think about composing a dish, and what's all involved. It's not here's a recipe, go and create. No, we're trying to really raise people to think about the dish in its entirety, think about eating the dish, what it's served with, what utensils are being served with, what plate it's going to go on, how it's going to compose, why it might be nicer to eat it this way than it is to eat it that way. So chef de partie, it's really the same level all the way through, but there's different stations that are a little bit more complex and complicated and intricate. Of course, meat being probably the most intricate and the hardest station to work here. So that chef de partie would be definitely somebody that I lean on the most. It's not necessarily cooking a vegetable and plating a salad. It's cooking the vegetables as well as cooking the meat, as well as managing over the butchering of the products and all these different items that are they cost more money. They're much more difficult to do. They require much more technique, and make sure that they are mentoring all the other chef de parties and the newer chef de parties, because the person that's working meat has probably worked many other stations in the restaurant. We change the menu every day, and we're constantly trying to do better and better and better. So it's very challenging, and that's really what attracts a lot of people to here. It's what attracted me to the place. It's what keeps me here is that constant drive and pushing yourself, because you know that you're going to get better and better and better. Thomas, when I started, he was in the kitchen every day, and really taught us all a lot. And one of the most amazing things about him is, as he's grown restaurant-wise, he's also really grown into an amazing mentor. He's very trusting, and he wants the chef to take ownership in the restaurant. And he wants me to do the food that I want to do, and to do it in the way that I want to do it, within the same philosophy. And he understands, like, I mean, I grew up in a restaurant, so our philosophies are kind of hand in hand. He is there to offer any advice, you know. He's there to mentor, to talk about different dishes, to talk about flavors, to talk about mentoring the staff, talk about upkeep on the restaurant. I mean, he's hands off and unless you run it, but is also completely there if you need him, which is an amazing thing.